make sure we're all good. All right, awesome. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to
Greetings.
Cooking with the Sage.
Greetings.
Tonight, we'll be covering the growth and journey of spirituality, IFA, and the impact on the community. All right, so in tonight's panel, we have H.P.S. Empress Yamaya Mm-hmm.
Greetings, Balafia. Hello.
Greetings. We have Orisha Gbemi. Hello.
Peace and blessings. Greetings,
Greetings.
greetings, greetings.
And you have me, Heiress Jauqline. All right. So most definitely, I trust that you enjoyed tonight's show, and please feel free to browse our channel. So you can like, share, subscribe. It's a lifestyle channel, so I trust you will find something that interests you. Okay. All right. So let's commence. How's everyone feeling? Everything
We're,
good?
yeah, we're good. Well, I'm good. I should say, I speak for myself. I'm good. I'm good. Just
Yeah,
going off the sage. I'm going through my little dragon's blood, our sage, okay? Because we're going to clear the portalways.
I should.
Okay. Definitely opening it up. Look, see how the portals work.
The portals work. Did you see
Yeah,
that
Okay.
light go out? I
yeah,
guess
Literally.
we all
It's like,
shoot. Let me
yeah.
as
just.
soon as,
Oh
as
shit!
soon
No
as.
wait.
Yes.
Oh
And put
fucking.
the
Oh,
bells in
let
the
let
chat.
me.
Okay.
Since
Clearly,
we
it's
all
like,
going
nope.
dark.
It's like, nope. We gonna get into it, and I've always said that we are that particular wound. I mean, the woman carries that Wonder Woman, and I've been feeling definitely like it's a transformation for all of us, and that cosmic egg, So this is definitely something I'm looking forward to. But oh my goodness, okay, Spirit. So let's roll with it then. My goodness.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, most definitely. Okay, so I'll just break up with the first question. All right,
yes.
Orisha Gbemi.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? Who is Orisha Gbemi? And just give us, a little summary of your life and how it ended up transitioning into the IFA spirituality, how that found. So that's my
Mm.
first question.
Got
Yeah.
you. No, I appreciate it. First and foremost, I definitely give gratitude and thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for, the chance to have a phenomenal conversation on this beautiful platform. So I want to give gratitude and thanks to both of y'all for the opportunity, first and foremost.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So, I think, whew, Richard
It's a lot.
Bemby. So, yeah. Where do I start? Um, I would say Orisha Gbemi is a healer. I would say Orisha Gbemi is a healer, a teacher, um, a spiritual guide would be the best way I would sum it up as far as, who and what Orisha Gbemi is. But I guess to share the backstory, kind of go back to the future on it. Was born in New England, moved down to Florida in 1989. Family was military. And so, I grew up on the base and then kind of grew up in South Tampa and never really left. So South Tampa is my stomping grounds, where I grew up, where I, kind of came into my own and then transitioned to a lot in between, but then drove trucks for about maybe 20 something years. But then from there, got into the, I would say I got into the spiritual journey professionally probably about 2021. But I've been studying metaphysics. I'm a student of Dr. York's teachings in metaphysics since 1994. So since my freshman year of high school, I've been deep diving into metaphysics and studying, spirituality, studying cultural history from the melanated African perspective, and just looking up to a lot of phenomenal leaders and teachers as people to kind of model where I want to go in life with those frameworks. I.e., Malcolm was probably my number one. I would say first. I'll say hero, first person I looked up to in regards to who and what he was, what he stood for, and what he did for our people. So to get into how I got into spirituality, as far as Ifa and Orisha, it was really my study of Kemet, ancient Kemet, and studying, the great pyramid builders and our ancestors from the land of Kem. And so the deeper I went into the studies of studying ancient Kemet, the more I would cross paths with this thing called Ifa or this thing called Orisha. So it's like I, studied deeper into it and I looked further into, Ifa and Orisha, but I couldn't really find too much. The only thing I found was the book by Baba Ifa Karade, the Yoruba concepts, no, the Yoruba religious concepts, and then Jambalaya by Chief Louis Satish. And so those were like the only two books that I could find on Orisha. And so for me, I couldn't find anybody, or I never crossed paths with anybody that was in the priestly order from the ancient Kemetic tradition. So the deeper I went into, studying Kemet, and I found people here in the local area who were into the Orisha, spiritual system. And so once I was able to connect with my godmother, I believe my very first divination consultation was New Year's Eve going into 2019. And I was just talking about this last night, man. My journey, it went super fast. It's moving so fast. I haven't really had the chance to sit down and think, and absorb it and process it, because literally this conversation came up last night where I was like, yo, I didn't realize that my very first consultation was January, I think, 2019, and November 2021, I was in the room, getting initiated into, the priesthood of Obatala. And so it was a very phenomenal fast journey. And it's, it's still going. I feel like I'm still a baby, but I'm grateful for where I am. So hopefully, that gives you a kind of like a bird's eye view of who this Orisha Gbemi is.
All right. Well, most definitely. I say to you, most divine masculine. Okay, we make it do what we do. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
we make it do what we do. So I am actually wanting to ask you, since coming into the IFA, because there's several different things that I do want to ask, and I know other people, and I want to ask because other people will want to know. We already know we have a relationship with that, and we enter and overstand. How can you, or what would you say, since you've joined IFA, and when I say join, I'm going to break that down a little further. Since you have come into the fold at IFA, how has that changed your life? And then we'll kind of go in and dig what IFA is from the perspective of someone who has no clue. Okay,
Gotcha.
So how's that worked for you? How has it changed you?
Man, that's a phenomenal question. I would say there's so much. We'd be here all night if I.
Okay.
No, but I'm gonna give you the best I could give you in regards to like just trying to paint the picture, for your audience. But it's been phenomenal as far as like how it's changed my life, because just the fact of my relationship with Obatala alone, I'm so grateful for, because growing up, I used to, I used to fight a lot. I used to be a hothead. I used to, get upset, and I felt like if somebody crossed the line, it didn't take much for me to get physical. And, I think that's definitely not the right way to handle things, but that was the only way I kind of knew how to handle things. And the reason being, I didn't really have the control over my rage or my anger, or the fact that when, people cross you or disrespect you. For me, I stand on that. Like, it's a zero tolerance line that I just couldn't let it happen without giving some consequences for it, pretty much. But since I've become a child of Obatala, I've learned patience. I've learned how to process, what's going on, how to think about things in the moment, not allow my energy to go in motion to, where I lose control over the motion of the energy. So that would be one of the most powerful, I think, transformations, and one of the most impactful, I would say, things that's taking place with me is learning how to gain control, learning how to be able to choose peace in moments where in the past it probably could have, got violent, or could have got aggressive, or, going, what they say, knocking stuff over, all that stuff. So that would be like one of the most significant impacts for me. But I think the true power in it, in regards to what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've felt being a part of it. Even like right now, this weekend is a powerful weekend, because we're actually bringing in two new priests, in my house, in my temple. And so it's like just being a part of seeing how this all unfolds is very powerful, and I think, it's just like anything else. There's a lot of bad that comes with the good. So just like anything, you got some bad police officers, you got some great ones, you got some bad pastors, you got some great ones. So, there are some people out there that's not doing things, ethically in the ways of Iwa Pwele, is what we would call it, balancing good character. However, I don't allow that to detract from what the true, essence of what Ifa and Orisha is. And so for me, being able to have access to that essence and be able to live through that essence is powerful, because you have the ability to pretty much find out anything that you need to know. I mean, anything. Like, there's nothing that can't be found, nothing that can't be seen through the eyes of the oracle. So when you have access to a tool that is so powerful, I mean, it really gives you a GPS to kind of guide you, and guide you through your life how you see fit, in regards to where you're trying to get, because you do have a true GPS navigational system through spirituality, through the lens of the oracle, to kind of guide you and assist you through that. So that would be what I would say, and how I would explain my personal journey and how, it's impacted me.
I'm on mute. I love that. No, I really do love that. It actually reminds me of, for some reason, because you said that you were how do you say, quick to throw hands, quick to, and IFA end up kind of showing you the better way to go about it. It reminds me of when, even though actually I've never gotten into an actual fight, it's always been sparring, if anything. But it reminds me of martial art, the MMA and stuff like that. Because I did the class that had the MMA, like all the different ones together, wrestling, grappling, all together, right? Muay Thai. And that really did, it really did help me control my emotions as well, because I would be sometimes just quick to anger. Like if I saw it was mainly because I saw some like bad things happening. It was just like, what do you guys talk, this sort of thing. And you would think that it would be the complete opposite, right? Like, oh, you're learning to fight, you're actually going to be a violent person. No,
right.
That's what those people over there that don't respect the discipline. So yes. I do respect that you said that, and I'm glad that you found that outing as well. Would you say, what would be some other things that involves everyday life, okay, that IFA, because of your knowledge of that, because of your discipline within that, also helped you? Like some other things that you didn't even think of? Like, I don't know. I'm just leaving it up to you because I'm quite curious. Yeah.
I would say personal development, because my personal development journey started before learning about IFA. So I was doing the work, the shadow work, the inner work. I was meditating. So I feel like through evolution and just maturity, just growing up, wanting to be mature, that really helped me along the path, because I knew, I knew that wasn't the right way to handle everything. And it wasn't like I was doing it every day, but it's something that, I didn't have a problem doing, you know what I mean? But if it happened, it's because somebody really crossed the line. So, but it did help me with personal development tremendously, because, just learning the disciplines. And like you said, likening to a martial arts, it's a practice, it's an art, it's a form, it's an art, it's a discipline, it's a lifestyle, and it's so intricate and it's so vast and so deep, and the depths of it is really surreal. But then at the same time, the tangible results that you see, the tangible access to being able to really tap into, a higher power, that's something I never experienced anywhere else before. Even like studying under Islam, and studying the works of the teachings of Malcolm and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I learned a lot, throughout those years of studying, Islam. And I still do, feel like a lot of the values and a lot of the principles are still applied to my life now. However, I didn't receive the tangible access to tools like I did until I started working with this tradition. But so I would say, number one, the first thing that I would have to say that has helped me with is personal development, just, developing as a better person. My motto is, I strive to be a better person today than I was yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than I am today. And using the principles and some of the, the guidelines that's in the tradition, that helps me to, try to achieve that goal.
And with that, with you saying that, I mean, of course, we both work with divination work. We both service other people. We enter and understand the shadow work. What I would like to ask on behalf of the audience, because oftentimes what I have heard is IFA is a cult, okay? That it's a cult. So if it's a cult, or if it's not a cult, I want you to speak on that particular side, because most people will say IFA is a cult. Like, we do have different religious practices. Of course, you already have spoken of some, Muslim, Buddhist, I mean, Hindu, Christian, Baptist. There's a whole lot, okay? So what is it that you would say makes people think that IFA is this cult? What is that? Do you know? Have you heard it?
No, it's kind of funny to me because I never heard it before. But however, I'm gonna respond to it. I would say it's definitely not a cult, because I'm not a follower. I don't follow anybody. The creator created me as a child of the creator, and I follow the intuitive internal guidelines and compass that comes from direct communication, direct, installations from the communication via the creator and spirit. So, and that is maximized by the ability to work with, communicate with, and access the forces of nature. And that's what IFA is. It is a collective of the forces of nature that is put into a system that is able to be utilized from a spiritualistic and a scientific perspective. So as far as the cults, never heard that. Now I can't say that if I'm talking about or looking into a cult, I would say Christianity. And I'm not a religious basher, because I respect everybody's religious practice. Even if you're atheist, I respect it, because you have the right to believe in and worship whatever you so choose. But I only ask that you respect what I believe in and worship, because I would respect what you believe in and worship. So as long as you don't disrespect my practices, I'll never disrespect your practices. But the reason that I say Christianity, I would feel like is a cult, is because there's been more captivity, slavery, war, murder, genocide, you name it, under the guise of Christianity than I can't really think of anything more right now at the top of my head. And I'm not bashing Christians, and I'm not bashing Christianity. But if you want to know true Christianity, I would suggest researching Ethiopia and their system of Christianity. And then that will lead you to the ultimate pure, unadulterate, plagiarized version of Christianity. But what I feel like is controlling the masses of the globe, that's plagiarized, and it's a weapon of mass destruction, and it's a weapon of mass captivity, where you're in captivity with your mind and your spirit. So that's the cult that I would identify, if there is a cult out there.
Okay.
I love that. Sorry.
Go on.
I love that. How do you say? Empress asked that question, because I take it you saw it in the, how do you say, YouTube comments, right? Did you see it on the?
Yeah, I did see it as well, but I wrote it too, because some people
so
do.
It's not like, no, we saw someone comment that, and obviously it's ignorance and stuff like that and trolling. But people literally would be like, oh, no. Or it's, they use the word, oh, it's demonic, it's this, because they don't understand it. So I like the fact that you, in a very, very summarized way, said, no, this is not a cult, and you explained the reasons why. So I share to you, I'm definitely going to clip that. You think, let me have this man explain it to you. So I do appreciate that you said that.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it to it.
Now, within this, so within IFA, are there different positions, or let's just say rankings, levels? Are there? How do you become a part of IFA? How do you become a priest? Can women be priestess? How is that? Break that down for people that really don't enter and understand.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would say the first thing to do is find a respected, trained, documented practitioner, someone who has receipts as to who they come from in regards to their spiritual lineage. You know what I mean? And so, and also that they've been trained, and that they do have a resume and a pedigree, and they have a traceable spiritual lineage, right? Because there's a lot of people out there, especially nowadays with social media and online, a lot of people are posing themselves to be this, posing themselves to be that. People are actually DMing people saying that, they need to do this and do that. There's just so many things that's going on right now where there's a lot of rogue, some of them might be real priests and priestesses, but there's also a lot of posers. There's a lot of people impersonating, you know what I'm saying? Like the real ones. So it's like anyone who's really in the tradition, anyone who's really in the culture, we never solicit anybody. Like that's just something, if you're moving with Iwa balance and good character, you don't solicit anybody. It happens because the work that you do is changing lives. The work that you do is healing people. The work that you do is making a very powerful, positive impact within the lives of the people that you serve. And they will then tell their friends, they will tell their family, they will tell whoever they feel like needs that same type of help, and they will send them to you. And so it's like, that's how the work, you know what I mean? If you do the work works. And so I would say that that's how the people who are doing it the right way, that's how we, the people find us, and they're led to the practitioners that are putting in the work. But for me, That would be number one, is just finding somebody who's qualified, who's trained, who has a resume, who has receipts. And then from there, just, questioning them. I would say probably the first thing to do would be to get your first consultation. And, then the oracle will kind of speak and give you the guidelines. So for mine, my very first one, it was revealed to me that this was my path, that I was destined to be in the path that I'm in now. So I just, I was motivated because I was studying for maybe 7-8 years just with those 2 books before I actually met someone who was really in the tradition and the culture that I can actually speak to, and that could really, take me from being somebody who was curious to actually being somebody who now had the ability to be an active devotee. And so that's where I would start, is like, finding somebody who's respectable, finding somebody who is credible, and then getting a consultation. And then from there, it'll kind of reveal to you what your path is. And so usually the most common step is step one, you will get your elekes, which are the beaded necklaces and bracelets. Mostly the necklaces, which you will wear. Yep, you'll wear those. So you'll have those. Will be step one for most people. Step two for the next would be to receive your warriors, your Ajagun, which is your Eshu, your Ogun, and your Ochosi, which sits behind your door. And those are for protection. And, it goes deep as far as what they're for.
Let me jump in there, because some people are going to hear that and it's going to run over them. So we want to go back to that Ori, and we want to tell them exactly what that is. I mean, because most people, when they think about Orishas, which I'm going to kind of divert a little bit, because, there's a movie coming out, Bones and Blood, right? That the children of Orisha.
I've seen something about that online. I didn't know it was about Orisha though.
Yeah, they have the Orisha in the tag of the trailer. Anyway,
okay. So yeah, I don't know
that. I'm saying that because most people will say, okay, well, Orishas, okay, who are they? And of course, the first one that comes to mind is Oshun. That's because Beyonce brought that right on through, But there's so many more. Shango, Ogun, Yomoja, hello. Abatalao, God, there's
401.
Yes, and we only know a selective few. Now, each one of them have characteristics and traits. Okay, so when you started going there, it's kind of like you got to give people a little bit of, okay, well, who are you talking about exactly? Yeah. Because I say that because Yemoja, okay, I vibrate with Yemoja. My mother named me that birth name. Okay, this is something she gave me, birth name, and it was one of those things that she had to literally change it because she was saying something to the doctors and they didn't understand, so they put a J on it. I had to later go and research that, and for myself, and find out what my name meant, where did it come from, this sort of thing. But as I kept searching, Yemoja, I mean, she actually counters for other different names. I mean, Mayat, Aset, which is Isis, you know what I mean? She Mary.
Yeah.
And these are in different religions, okay? Yeah. These are in different religious practices. So this is where I believe that most people also kind of get it all twisted up, where they literally could be having a devotion or worshiping something that has that particular, let's call it deity, or let's just say a trait. That is also called something else in their religious practice or spiritual practice, because that's what I call it, a spiritual practice. So when you start mentioning that, who is that we're putting, that they would be putting behind their door, and why? What is that characteristic?
Okay, yeah, great question. Yeah, so the warriors, like I said, it consists of Eshu, Ogun, and Ochosi, and then it's all subjective because every house has a different way of how they present and how they give, excuse me, the spiritual tools to their devotees and to the members of their ile or their temple or their house, right? So the way mine is, we receive Eshu, and so Eshu is the god of communication. Eshu is the guardian of all entrance and doorways. He's also he's tied to the crossroads. He is very, very intricate in regards to communication, even internal communication and communication with himself. But when you start to work with the deities, when you start to work with the Orishas, Eshu is like the one that you go to first. Eshu is the one who's going to clear the way. Eshu is the one who can open the or close the way for you. Eshu also is going to deliver whatever message, whatever offering, whatever you're trying to give to any of the other Orishas, you would want to seek Eshu first. And so when it comes to the warriors, Eshu was then paired with Ogun. Ogun is the god of iron, the god of technology, the god of also like deep woods. Like there's a lot of different attributes to Ogun as well. He's also connected to the heart chakra because he's a very powerful force and he has a relentless work ethic, and he's known for clearing the way and clearing the path. Ogun is a very fierce warrior. Ogun is said to, he can bathe in water, but if you cross that line, he'd prefer to bathe in the blood of his enemies, and he also can use, iron to forge as a weapon, but he also can use iron to forge as a tool for healing. So the same way that he can eliminate you with a machete, he can also heal you and bring you life and vitality with, the scalpel of a surgeon. You know what I mean? So it's very deep and intricate how deep these deities are. But and then to go back to what we were talking about with the cult, if you go to a town called Ile Ife in Nigeria, and I had the opportunity to visit this town in 2024, the Oni of Ile Ife, the Oni's palace, they have historical, untapped, untouched, solicited, or what was the word I used earlier for the plagiarized history of all of the deities from time of the beginning of Yoruba people is all documented within the Oni's palace, where I've seen this with my own eyes. They have a tight grip on their historical history of their people on this planet. Ogun was actually someone who lived in humanoid form as an immortal on the planet Earth, and they have the documented history for that. So when we're talking about this thing that we spoke of earlier with Christianity, I would challenge whoever was in the comments with the trolling to go find me the history of the person that you see depicted on the cross in Christianity and give me that verified so I can see it before you accuse other people of being a cult, because this tradition does have that verified history. I've seen it with my own eyes. So that being said, Ogun is there with, the warriors, and then you have Ochosi, depending on your house and your lineage. Ochosi is the deity who he moves with the bow and arrow, and when he shoots, he doesn't miss. His arrow is 100% precise because he has a very high altitude of aim and really very, very precise in regards to hitting his target when he lets go of the bow. So once you join the tradition and you have went through the first few phases and you have reached that phase where you are able to attain these warriors, that's part of step 2, what I would consider of your initiation path or journey.
So after you started to practice, okay, now you're in this particular practice. I've often heard, of course, I've experienced certain things myself, but again, I'm going to play the audience for for this interview. Most definitely, are there any forms of like sacrifices made? Are there things like, for instance, pouring out libations? Are there any type of prayers that are done? Because just on my take on it, because like yourself and many of us that are on this call or will see this particular broadcast, we have studied many different religions. We've been able to sit and sup with ourselves as well as exterior forces, and then come to a balance within the self. Hello, my outside, the Yamaya. Hello, that you got to have balance with all of this so you can find thyself, which is your Ori, that spirit. That's so. Are there any type of libations, devotions done to it, sacrifices made? And I'm saying that because we've already spoke about Christianity and certain things. Certain people would say there's the Lord's Prayer. We all know the Lord's Prayer. Hello, I've learned it. You know it. We know these things, okay? So for me, going and sitting and supping at different houses of religious practices only kept furthering my inner workings because I was a searcher. I searched out to bring out that side of the self, which is the spiritual self. Okay. So there are certain things that oftentimes we will say a sacrifice in a certain area means completely different if I say I sacrificed over here.
Yeah.
Meaning, I give you, you know, okay, I make a sacrifice. I make a sacrifice every day. I'm gonna just keep it kind of mundane. I make a sacrifice every day.
Yeah.
I get up and go outside, and just going outside, that's me taking my casing outside of a four-wall structure. Then there's the sacrifice, okay, let me go to the gym. That's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay. However, to bring that into context, when we're talking about IFA, what are there prayers to certain things? What are these things, and how do they benefit the person that takes this on as a discipline for themselves?
Yeah.
I know that was a mouthful, but
No.
devotion, sacrifice, prayers, libation. What is that, and how does that work?
So let me I want to say this too, because I know how audiences can be. I know how people can be. First and foremost, I respect everybody's spiritual tradition, everybody's, you know, saying what they believe in and what they worship. So let me just get that clear, because I have family members who are in Christianity and multiple other religious practices. However, I also know off of my own personal independent research that that tool has been used to control and be a weapon of mass destruction. So I'm going to stand on that. However, I still respect people's journeys. You know what I mean? I respect my family's journeys and whoever else, you know, their journey. So I do want to be clear with that. But I'm not the most knowledgeable person on the Bible and Christianity, so I won't speak on things that I don't know in depth. But I will say everybody who does know the tradition knows about the part in the Bible and when you go to church where they pass out the wine, and the wine is supposed to be utilized as what? Is that an offering? And does that wine not symbolize what? Blood, correct? Is that what that wine symbolizes? Blood? Okay. So yes, when it comes to this tradition, there is offerings, there is libations, there is sacrifice. But what I would say to that is the first order of when it comes to sacrifice is indeed the sacrifice of self.
Thank you.
What liability behaviors are you sacrificing? What negative habits are you sacrificing? What negative relationships, whether it be with people, places, or things, are you sacrificing?
Speak to it.
What within yourself that is not pushing you forward or pulling you and pushing you up are you sacrificing? That would be the number one sacrifice that I would speak about for any culture or tradition, because if you're not doing that sacrifice, nothing else that you're doing is going to really matter. And it's definitely not going to have a full effect the way it would if you are doing your true sacrifice, which is eliminating all things that don't serve you, your journey, you elevating, progressing, evolving, you know, and just growing into a better person. So that would be what I would focus on when it comes to talking about sacrifice, because being from the inside out and being someone who does divine, who does advise people, who does, you know, coach people and consult for people and help people, the cases that I see the most progress are the people who do just what I just spoke about, is the self-sacrifice, eliminating all things that are not truly serving self, right? When we go to ancient Kemet, know thyself, right? So that's a very powerful, you know, passage to study, because it really shares, I feel like, some of the most deepest lessons in, you know, in life, and knowing thyself. So if you're doing what you need to do to sacrifice, eliminating anything that's not in alignment with the personal developing of self, then that's where the true power is. But if you're trying to sacrifice an animal or whatever the case may be, and you're not doing whatever inner work or the work for self, then it's null and void. You know what I mean? For the most part. So it's like, that's where the truth, from my perspective, from my, you know, days of being a practitioner, comes into play. So in regards to the libations and in regards to the prayers and things of that nature, I would always start with our ancestors, because the ancestors, they're not dead. You know, contrary to most people's beliefs, ancestors transform. People who transition transform. We don't die. We are infinite beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Energy, you know, it can't be destroyed. You know what I mean? It always is, always was, and always will be. Therefore, when our ancestors transition, their body is no longer with us, but their spirit is still able to be with us, to guide us, to, you know what I mean, watch over us, to protect us, to help us, to assist us, all the above. So it's like, that's where I would say, for someone who is interested in learning more about the tradition and learning about how these things with with libations and prayers and offerings, sacrifices, I would say start with your ancestors, because they're there as our first line of defense. So the way I try to share with people who are not familiar with the tradition, if you look at the let's just say the United States military, right? So you have the Army, you have the Air Force, you have the Navy, you have the what's the other one? The Marines, right? So our ancestors would be the equivalent of all of those 4 branches of the U.S. military. And then they also, you might have your own individual ancestor who might be like your, almost like your guardian angel, right? So that to me would be the next level up. That would be like the equivalent of the Navy SEALs or the Rangers or, you know, the Green Berets, you know what I'm saying? Like the special forces of each one of those particular defense, you know, branches of the military. So that's what our ancestors are for us, you know, when it comes to any spiritual tradition. You know, if you look at the Native Americans, they all have deep connections with those who come before, every single one of them. So I would say that would be the first place to start in regards to like learning more about it. But then also your Ori, like what you spoke about, I mentioned multiple times, the Ori is the inner self. The Ori would be the mind's eye. Some people call it the third eye. Some people call it the first eye. Some people call it the mind's eye, whichever one you want to call it. That's where we are at our God self. That is if you talk about the word Orisha, you have the Ori, which is O-R-I. That's you. That's this, right? And then when you take the connection to the deities, you talk about Oshun, you talk about Eshu, you talk about Ogun, you talk about Obatala, you talk about Shango, Imoja, Oya, you know, you talk about the deities. When you combine connecting intentionally your Ori with the deities, now you see the combination of the Orisha. And that's where you can then connect with them on an interchangeable level, where, you know, that connection is powerful and it's divine. So it's a very special thing to see. And from there, you have Ifa, which is, Ifa would be, for those who are familiar with ancient Kemet and, you know, the ancient Egyptian spiritual system, I would equate Orunmila, who is the deity of Ifa, to Tahuti, the wisdom keeper,
Thank you.
the knower of
That's
all
what we
things.
need right there, because
Yes.
that oftentimes people, again, as I gave the example far as my name, my Yamaya is my aunt in Kemet. You know what I mean? It's Isis, it's Uset. So this is what people really need to hear. So I don't want to cut you off, but yes, that correlation, because they need to hear it, like literally.
Yeah. Well, and even to take it even deeper, right? So, like I said, I'm not going to try to speak on Christianity to a certain level degree because I don't have that knowledge base. But I do know, and I don't know how many people that do, but there is one particular being in the Christian pantheon that I've not heard a lot of people speak about, but he is the one being that I've read that is the only one said to be able to defeat the devil. And his name is Archangel Michael, or Melchizedek. And
Yes,
most people don't know of that person or that being, right? But if we're going to take it to Christianity, you know, parallels or metaphorically speaking, I would say that Orunmila would then be coupled with the Archangel of Michael as well. Because
the only people that really I've found that speak about that are those that are doing, they're doing tarot, which I wanted to ask you about that. They're doing tarot. They are doing divination work. They're a little bit more spiritually grounded. So even when I go to certain expos or participate in a conference, Michael is the one that they use the most. Like he's the one that they put up front, and I'm just like, okay, but do you know X, Y, and Z? And do you, so people can see the correlation, because of course, the more we know, the more we're able to expand and sit in many houses and be able to commune with many people in varying degrees, but on a more elevated version of our collective consciousness. Like, hello, you can elevate your conversation. You won't stay here mundane.
Yeah.
So yes, most definitely. I've heard of it of certain people, but that's a that's a good one. And now that leads me to this question, because I did want to ask you about this. Would you say that Ifa would read tarot cards? And if do they use, I'm gonna say the shells, okay? How do they read? How do they do readings? I don't want to say too much because I know certain answers already. It's just like, okay, how does Ifa do readings, or do they not do readings?
So that is a phenomenal question, and it can go so far with it. So look, I know we said an hour, so I don't know if we're gonna go past that or not, because this question alone, this question alone might take me that far. But I'm gonna say this: if you talk to IFA practitioner that is a true custodian of the culture and the tradition,
Mm.
I would believe that their answer would be no.
Mhm.
In Ifa or Orisha, there is no tarot card, readings. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even say that there's a such thing called reading,
Right.
because, like I said, being from a purist custodian of the culture perspective now is, and this is just what I've seen on my journey, they would say that it's a consultation, which it is. It's divination consultation. So, and I'll even go back to Baba Ifa Karaday, who I've interviewed numerous of times, and I definitely respect his body of work because he has put out a prolific body of work on the tradition and the culture. So his philosophy is that to call the divination consultation practice a reading is almost like disrespectful in a sense, because it's not holding the oracle to the standards in which it should be held in regards to the significance of the sheer power and the sheer ability to be able to tap into the highest realms of consciousness and then to pull down the information that the seeker has come to seek. So but that's just, like I said, if depending on who you're speaking with and how they look at the tradition, right? So, but on the other hand, I also know priests and priestesses that I know personally who do divine with tarot cards, right? They do give messages with tarot cards. I'm not judging them because that's not my business. That's not my practice. That's not how I consult the shrines. However, I do know people that do that. And then you would have some people who are in the tradition that say that they're not giving Ifa or Orisha, spiritual consultation. That's something totally different. Whatever they're doing, that's not. So, it could be a whole tug of war. But to answer the question in regards to the tools that we use for
Yes.
the Ifa priests, we use what we call the Ikin. And with the Ikin, it's 16 Ikin that we use, and we mark the Odu of the Ikin on what we call an Opan Ifa. I don't have mine in the shrine room, but and from there, that is considered to be the highest oracle that I personally know of in regards to the highest communication that we receive from the Creator, right? And you receive the Odu, and you mark the Odu, within a certain binary pattern with ones, or that symbolizes ones or zeros, so one would mark one and two would mark the other. And then from there, the Ifa priest would then use the Okwele, and that's a chain that has 8 colonets that are split in half. On each side, you'll have 4 colas that are kind of tied to a chain. And then the Ifa priest would then cast the Okwele on a mat in order to receive the Odu, similarly to you would receive it from the Opan Ifa with the Ikin. And then the next oracle would be for the Orisha priest, which would be the Mary de Lagoon, which would be 16 cowrie shells, which you would also take, cast those on like a divine tray, and then you receive the messages of the Odu from there. And then from the next ones would be, and this is all subjected to where you are and how you conduct your spiritual practices, but for the traditionalists who are native to the tradition, it would probably be kola nut, 4-lobe kola nuts, would then be the next one that you could use for divination purposes. And then from there, you would also could use a rugbo, which is bitter kola nuts. And then also here in the diaspora, we have adopted the concept of the kola nuts by using coconuts. And so we'll take 4 coconut shells and then do the same thing to cast, the shells to get answers and messages. So as far as my knowledge, like you don't get a divination consultation from the shells, the coconut shells. Like you can get yes, no, maybe answers with it. There's 5 configurations, 5 different scenarios that you can get answers in regards to the coconuts. But to get a true consultation message of consulting the oracle, it would definitely have to be from the Mary de Lagoon, the Opwele, or the Opanifa.
All right. Now, I'm trusting all of y'all will have to go back and replay everything that he just said, because he said a whole lot right there. Okay, what and how I would interpret that, because again, I respect all altars. I don't have to practice everything that you're doing. Okay,
Right.
I don't have to like that. Listen, I understand that I'm a walking altar, so
Facts.
I don't need anything. These are just extra tools. These are sacred tools that I would add on to me. So this particular practice would be something I would be adding on to me. I am a walking altar. So that, with that being said, I do enter and understand that most of us are growing in a certain level. So you have to grow to advance, or even to have a desire to want to do that, because some people don't have a desire. And again, as you said elegantly earlier, I have no problems. You, honey, you practice whatever you want to practice, as long as you are not infringing upon me or other people that don't want to line up with what you are offering. I am about that liberation. And that's what I found by sitting at the feet of different religions and spiritual practices. I am one that is a healer that liberates. So if you want liberation of the mind and first within the self, then that's something that I always subscribe to. And the people that come and sit with me and talk, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And now with you giving us a whole bunch, because there was a whole bunch of meat in that whole question. Okay, I know I asked questions like that, but
yeah,
goodness, so people gonna have to replay that. But with that being said, would you say for yourself, because you're still in the community, okay?
Yeah.
We've been doing a series about our kings, our priests, our warriors, men that are, they're putting it down, okay? They are, our copper colored men are still putting it down. And the reason we, of course, asked you on is because you are a father. You're still a father.
Yeah.
You have boys, you have teenage boys. I mean, they're doing their thing. You are standing true within yourself, and you're teaching them to be who they need to be. At least that's what I have observed of you, and literally listening again to you speak about certain things now. What would you say, okay, because we're talking about community now, what would you say for the young kings, the young warriors, the young priests that are coming up?
Look,
The young
I was looking for my book.
alchemists.
I wrote a book called Young Kings too, by the way. Shameless plug, but yeah, I
Okay,
was
you
looking
should have
for
brought it and
it.
let make sure they know about it. Okay,
Yeah, I
what
got
would
something
you
in there.
say? What would you say would be that because there's so much, but what would you say that you would want for these young kings, these young alchemists, warriors that are literally in the community, in the trenches, making it happen? What would you say they would need to do for themselves? And we're just saying, regardless of where they go, which direction they go, they would need to do for themselves to help them expand who they are in their identity and impact other people to do the same. I mean, we ain't talking about the music, honey, and all this other jazz. We talking about them doing what? What should they do?
The three things that I would say off the top of my head, it would be number one, learn how to love yourself. Learn how to love, appreciate, and truly, support yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly, the flaws and all. Truly learn how to immerse yourself in loving yourself. We talk about know thyself, but a lot of people don't know how to love thyself. It took me to live 30 something years on this planet before I actually knew that that was something I needed to know how to do. I needed to learn how to love myself. Right. So I would start with that. Number one, love thyself. Number two, I would say seek guidance and coaching from a Jegna, right? So I know we use the word mentor, but I found out with like a year or so ago that word is kind of derogatory because it goes back to pedophilia, which is crazy. But yeah, really deep. So I can't remember the exact concept on it, but I had to do my research. But I remember interviewing a brother like a year or so ago, and he was like, "Yo, I like that word because it goes back to pedophilia." And so and in the melanated traditions, so we use the word Jegna. So a Jegna is similar to a griot or griot, a wisdom keeper, a storyteller, but in essence of our current day society, it would be what the equivalent of a mentor would be. It's an elder who can guide you along the path and along the way, to show you the way. Yeah, so I would say that would be number two, is define a Jegna. And then number three, do some deep diving and traveling within to figure out what it is that you believe in so much so, and that you believe in it and love it so much so that you would be willing to sacrifice it all for that one thing. You know, to be able to like really, you know, all in, all or nothing. You know, I don't play poker, but I hear the words or the phrase or the term all in. And I do know when you go all in, that means it's all or nothing. Right. So I would challenge them to dive deep within themselves to figure out, you know, in my life, what do I believe in or love or stand up for so much that I'm willing to go all in for this particular belief, this belief system, this ethos. So yeah, that would be my 3 words of wisdom.
I so appreciate that. I so appreciate having you here. And I know, okay, we got to definitely, you got to tell people where they can find you, all that good jazz. I'm going to let Heiress get back to that. But I'm just saying, I am so appreciative to have you on. I mean, again, this is going to be our series because I am walking in that Maya. I've always been teased about that, or, you know, you don't pick a side. You on the man's side, you on the woman's. No, baby, I'm balanced. Okay, I'm balanced. I'm that Maya.
Yeah.
No. You wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right, you're right. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Which also helped me help myself. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Yamaya, you wrong with that one, honey. You just
Yeah.
gotta, you gotta own that. You have to
Yeah.
own your bullshit.
Yes.
And what I can say from having the conversation from you is overall, regardless of the title, and we're saying that it's IFA. What
Yeah.
I got from you was it's about you taking your time to own your own totality, enter and overstand yourself,
Yes.
right? Enter and overstand yourself, willing to work through whatever it is you need to work through. And this one just happens to have the title of IFA. I always tell people, because I use crystals, tarot, I do divination work. These are just tools. It's no different than me going out into nature. That is a tool. My breath, our breath is a tool. So if these tools are going to help me be a better me, and it's not infringing on anyone else, okay? And then when they see me walk through and I'm walking in liberation, you know, that glow, which, okay, I might go over here. I'm going to get you off here.
No, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good.
That glow, that particular side of the self that people will say there's a light on you. What is that they're seeing? They're seeing you doing, or that you've done that inner work. They may not be able to call it the light, but they may, I just really want to get close to that person. They call it energy, whatever that is. They really want to get close to that person. They want to cipher off of what you've done the inner working for. Okay, so this is the part that I want to make sure that my life purpose and path, I'm continuously being the best me I can be. And that has come with a lot of tower moments. For those of y'all that enter and overstand a tower, hello, in the decks, the tower moments is something when it crashes down. So you can go up so high and then you have to cut it down. Oftentimes I've had to pull the rug on myself because you had to replace certain things. Okay, so I'm hearing that divination work, that inner work is what IFA is about. It happens to have different deities and different ways of how you need to move and operate, but that's just bringing you order. That's bringing you into some form of balance. It's up to you, because there's good, bad, ugly in every culture, in every religion, and because it's people. We are the vehicles. We are these particular temples. Hello. The altars that are walking around and laying claim in certain areas. So I just had to put that out because I know you did your thing. I appreciate you. But yeah, really, the audience must enter and understand that we give certain things titles, and we have to allow what it is that people are saying and the particular titles to actually reap that particular harvest. So it don't matter if it's Muslim, Buddhist, this, IFA, that if that's the road you choose to go down, respectfully respect thyself, enter and overstand their self, and be the best version of that thing. Now, if you're going to be the best version, because some people, some of the cultures, the religions, they be in the best version for what they think it is. But when I say the best version, I'm talking about once you've done the inner work for yourself, there's no freaking way you're going to try to implement captivity on someone else.
Yeah.
You can't. real freedom and liberation within the self, the Ori, the spirit, the source, you will want to give other people liberation. There's no captivity in that. So that's what I mean by stepping up and being your, your higher self, walking in that particular purpose. So I appreciate you. I so appreciate you, priest.
Absolutely.
Hello. Hello. Okay. I'm sorry, Heiress. You go ahead, honey. I'm finished now. I'm done.
Definitely. I do appreciate.
I know there's questions or something going on there, but it was good.
I definitely appreciate you coming on, and definitely it's very impactful what you said. You can tell that you not a con as my fraud. I call people frauds. I'm like, no, they're fraud.
Yeah, it's a lot of them out there, man.
We didn't send these questions in advance.
Yeah.
Hit him off, and he ain't stuttering. He's flowing. Asheo to you, and Asheo to your discipline, to this beautiful practice. I must say.
Yes.
Asheo to that.
Yes. And he got the followers. Y'all got to go over to his channel now. Y'all got to
Yes. I was gonna get to that.
I didn't say that.
So yes, Asheo to you for that, and please tell the audience how they can see more of you, because you be doing your things too. Like, tell us briefly about that, and then we'll close it out.
Got you. No, I appreciate it. I really do. This was fun, man. Listen, we gotta do this again if y'all have me back, because there's so much more. You can't quantify it all in an hour, but. And this is one thing I want to share too. Just first and foremost, the gratitude and the thanks for the opportunity, and the phenomenal questions. Your community, your tribe. For embracing me. I appreciate that. And then and honestly, I don't lead with the being a priest. I don't even mention that to people unless it's something that they come to me and they need some type of work, some type of service from me, because I don't believe in titles, and I don't believe in throwing around accomplishments and things of that nature, because I firmly believe in doing the work. And that's something I love what I do, and I love doing the work. And I feel like when you do the work to the best of your ability, and you strive to perform at a high level to the best of your ability, the work is going to speak for itself. You don't have to tell people what you do, what you've accomplished, who you are, none of that, because just as Jay was saying earlier, people that operate or live in a certain frequency, they're going to see that light. They're going to see that energy. They're going to see that frequency on you without you saying a word. People who really are in tune with themselves, or in tune with their connection to the creator, to the planet and nature, they're going to vibrate on a very similar frequency. So that's going to naturally amalgamate and come together organically, because it's a frequency of, I would say, of alignment. So I don't even speak to that, because I really firmly believe in just doing the work and doing what I came here to do, without standing on a mountaintop about the things and the ceremonies that I've had. So that's something that I firmly believe in, and I take that to heart, because those who paved the way for me stood for doing the work. They weren't boastful or bragging, or what I mean, like I'm this, I'm that. I'm grateful for some of the achievements and ceremonies and titles and things of that nature. I'm grateful for all of them, but I don't even speak about most of them, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to do the work. So, I'm grateful for the opportunity and, the ability to do that. So I just want to throw that out there, because I do see that in my tradition a lot. Unfortunately, there are people who want people to bow down to them and things of that nature, which that's something I'm not a fan of, but, and then also, I just wanted to also say that I'm not tied to just, IFA. Like I'm a student, and I take pride in being a student. Actually, I'm a nerd, and I take pride in being a nerd. So I study a lot. And I read a lot, you know what I mean? And IFA is not the only tradition that I study and I learn and I practice. I'm proud to say I just received my first Reiki certification or atonement, you know what I mean? To now be an energy healer, so it's like,
you joined the crew.
Yeah, man, because the world, we need help, man. People need help, like for real. On a real note, people need help. So it's like I want to do what I can to help. Yeah,
Heiress got that juju. I'm gonna
she a master. That's what's up. Listen, that's my next goal. That's my next goal.
How you call it? Distant Reiki.
Yeah, man. Look, that's my goal. I'm trying to get where she at. Yeah, man. That's my 3-year goal. Shout out to Millie, my teacher, man. Shout out to Millie for giving me my first attunement and my certification to be a practitioner. So I'm excited about this part of the journey. Because I see where I can mold them together you know, and work with, you know, both traditions. And so, and that goes back to, I'm never going to allow myself to be limited by anything or anybody. You know what I mean? Because if something fits with me and it flows with me and it feels good, then I'm going to study it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to practice it. So, and even it could be something out of the Bible, because like I said, I don't look down on anything or anybody, but I also call things for what it is and how I see it. And I'm unapologetic with that, regardless of what it is, you know, so I just speak my truth. But so, yeah, I just enjoy the journey. You know, and I'm here to do what I can to help, you know, humanity, man. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Well, I'm pleased you don't start getting with them healing hands. We all got them healing hands. Okay, don't
Listen,
play.
it's
Okay, so
powerful.
tell us, come on, you got to tell us about the channel. You got to tell them.
Okay, yeah, y'all can find me at African Spirituality Experience on YouTube. That's the name of the channel. And shout out to the Ashe tribe, man. That's my. I love my tribe, man. They are a phenomenal group of powerful beings. I tell them, like, yeah, we like the X-Men, man. Like, we kind of just all come together, you know, like when it's time to get things and get busy and get things done, man. We come together, you know, in divine time and alignment. So, and then shout out to you, you know, for being a guest on multiple times and bringing your Ashe and juice, that emoji power, you know, and E-Ray to the platform and the program. So it's like, we definitely it's a special community. I gotta say that.
I mean, you go across the board. I mean, you literally go across the board. Rod Hayes, you go across the board. Y'all need to go in and check it out. I'm just saying.
Man.
Okay, we got the master teachers on there. We got like it's good. It's food for the soul. Okay, so we did just bring him on because I wanted to introduce more of the spirituality, but no, it's so much more. Want to learn some stuff? Yes, baby. Go and sit on that channel, because he definitely has some master teachers who's definitely older than me. I'm 53. Hello, and probably older than some of y'all. They've been doing it for several. They're 70. They're old. They're wise. They have that wisdom. They're not just a talk game. They're real folks. So metaphysics, I love. Hello, I happen to be a girl. I love my metaphysics and all that other jazz. So you guys go out and check him out. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything else.
Nah, you good. I'm trying to share the link. I can't get the link to post for something. I don't know if I have something on my thing, but as far as people connecting with me, you can, I think it's, let me see, it's Ashe Experience on Linktree. And that has all the links.
We'll put it in the description box.
And I know how the platform is, because trust me, I deal with my difficulties with it as much as I use it too. So I already know how that is. Trust me. But family, y'all can find me on YouTube at, you know, African Spirituality Experience, and then I also have in the show description all the links to everything else. You can join the Patreon community. You can, you know, follow on Instagram, Facebook, I believe. What else? I think we're on TikTok as well. So the main way you'll see me and find the content is on YouTube. I'm looking to get all the other social medias, you know, going right now, but it's something that's definitely going to be happening in the fourth quarter of the year, because we got a lot coming with the channel. A lot of new avenues and new things to explore coming in the channel. So I'm definitely excited with that. You know, the collaborations, the partnerships, and looking forward to taking the show on the road, man. So we're definitely looking to have some, you know, Ashe live platform, panel discussions, festivals. We definitely are working to put together some very powerful experiences for the tribe. So shout out to the tribe, man, because the way they came together, and I always say this, so I'm gonna say it again, is I'm just grateful to be in the position to, you know, host the show. But the show, it has its own energy, its own Ashe, and its own vibe on its own, and just the fact that those masters that true masters that you know, spoke of, Dr. Phil Ballantyne, Professor Kaba Kabale, Professor James Smalls, you know, just so many of them. And, you know, to hear them after the call say that it felt like being at home, or this was fun, like that really means a lot to me. And I'm grateful, because I had nothing to do with it. It happened organically. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the energy and the frequencies. When they align, you know, it's meant to be. So I say all that to say I give gratitude and thanks for the ancestors for guiding me, you know, to start the platform, but the rest was all divine spirit. I feel like just leading the way. So shout out to the tribe.
Ashe, give thanks.
Shout out to it. And the last thing I'm just gonna say before I close it. So when you guys were speaking about, like, oh, you know, you're learning different tools and stuff like that, you know, spiritual holistic tools, it reminded me of cooking. It's like you don't just cook with salt and pepper.
Yeah.
You cook it with cumin. You cook
Yes.
it with the
Yes.
paprika. You cook
Yes.
It's like you're adding more to the
Yes.
stew. What works
Yeah.
with it?
Yes.
Yes.
Cilantro.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is like that. That
Yeah.
just immediately popped up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's really what it is. Like gumbo. Look, don't forget the Tony Chachere, the Lowry. You know, the McCormick. Got to put some McCormick in there, some seasoning salt, pepper, paprika, your onion powder. Look, well, I can get down in the kitchen now. Shout out to Moms for teaching me how to cook.
We are seasoned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Most definitely. Asheo to you both. Asheo to the audience, and Asheo to the future audience that watch this. Asheo to you. Thank you so much, everyone. And
Absolutely.
yeah, alrighty then.
Appreciate
Ciao, ciao.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one. Take care.
Appreciate you. All right. We'll see you next time. And definitely, I'm definitely going to keep in mind for Orisha coming back. I'm just saying, most definitely.
Yes.
All right?
We probably got to get more of the Kings together. That was great.
Yeah, man. We appreciate y'all.
Ciao.
Ashe.
Ashe.